really need it. That's like one thing right now that, is kind of taking away from the credibility of the treatment. I don't think any psychedelic therapy is meant to be forever. Like it's meant to like make a huge impactful change and then like get you back where you can live with yourself and be happy in your own skin. And that's where like ketamine, that topic really kind of irks me because I think personally, I think it's like, the pharmaceutical is basically getting their foot in the door of this alternative medicine treatment of like cannabis and mushrooms, like they've taken all this money from them and it's obviously gaining traction like publicly and like the media and all that. And so like they have to come back with their dosage of something. And ketamine is literally dumbing people down. Like I call it like the second dimension because it's like everything is like it's like a lower
They have this
dimension.
thing called the gay hole. They have this thing called the gay hole.
Yeah, the gay hole.
Yeah.
K-hole.
K-hole.
Gay hole, yeah.
Yeah, because and that's why like it's called like a K-hole. Like I don't know if you've ever seen people on ketamine, but they like literally sink to the floor and they're like in a fucking like K-hole. Like so
can I ask really sorry, I've heard people I've heard people with depression say that ketamine's done a lot for them. Like it's a couple of people I know personally.
And I've heard people say that too. And like and I don't want to say I don't believe them, but like I don't think that like I don't know if they're doing it a lot or because like it's something that's being highly abused right now, similar to cocaine. Like literally you go out, like it used to be like cocaine everywhere and now it's like ketamine everywhere.
Well, I'm talking about like in a clinical setting they did it.
And I don't know if it's like an ongoing thing. I haven't like studied too much on ketamine just because I've tried ketamine and I don't think that it's therapeutic. But like I don't think that it like I think that because like we were talking about different like planes of existence, like I've seen where ketamine takes you and it's like I think it's a lower dimension. I think it's darker. I think it's like ruled by like confusion and just like not like, whereas some drugs like stimulate and like make you think a lot. Like I've heard people say that like with ketamine you have to find the trap door and I'm like in the K-hole and I'm like, first of all, like where does the trap door lead? Like somewhere lower? Like I'm like, like there are these like different planes that I've like seen, experienced, heard of, especially with people doing DMT. And like between ketamine is like the K-hole, but between that is like I call it the anime dimension, and it's like all cartoons, and it's like but like you, at least in my experience, you can't ever come to a conclusive thought. Like you like have these profound thoughts, and then you're like, oh my gosh, but this, oh my gosh, and you go through this whole thing and then you like forget what your whole point was and you don't really come out of it with like a whole lot of growth. But I mean, I'm sure in like a talking session, like, you could, if I was on ketamine and somebody was taking notes for me, it would be great because I've had so many profound thoughts. Like, I'm like, that would be awesome if they would just take the notes for me and then I can remember all the shit I came to. But just like inside your own head, I think that's why they call it a K-hole because you just.
Well, it's like different strokes for different folks, and some things work for some people and some things don't work for other people. That's just life right there. I mean, again, there's a lot of people talking about, we've had ketamine sponsors on the show. I stopped doing it.
No, Kratom. That's Kratom.
No, you're thinking
that's Kratom. Okay. My apologies then. So yeah, but I don't know, man. I think there's a lot going on. I again talk about this time in my life where I was on mushrooms. The show has just started, and Off the Grid Ryan was my co-host, and fans of Joey Diaz were sending me chocolate psychedelic bars, and I ate them, and I had this moment in my head where I heard a voice tell me, everything's okay. You're where exactly you need to be. And I never worried about my life in that sense again, like where my career was and all that stuff. So I get that. But I think, again, if you keep checking out all the time and you don't actually have this kind of like, I'm going to take a look at what I'm going on, what I'm doing, what's going on, why I keep reacting this way, what is my role? That's a big part of recovery. What is my role in this? You start to lose it. And again, you're just always going to have people abuse shit. It's just the nature of humans. And I don't know if you can create something off the rule that somebody might abuse this. Like in LA right now, they want to pass a law that you can't go right on red, or excuse me, you can't go right at a red stop sign, right?
So
Because
stupid.
tweakers are just walking in the middle of the street and getting hit by cars. Well, I mean, like people are going to do that. You can't just ruin the way we operate because people walk in the middle of the street on drugs. You just can't change that. You can't make everybody else pay. So it's an interesting journey in that sense, dude. And I think everything should be done professionally. I think there is a cottage industry of people pushing drugs on people, and they're like, I'm a shaman of this, and they're not really, they're just getting you high at that point, and you don't even know what you're getting. Ayahuasca seems a lot like that. There's a lot of ayahuasca people that are just like, come and tweak in my, do ayahuasca in my garage and just talk to the, the mental health or whatever you see in there. And I think you start to dance a very dangerous dance.
Yeah, and I'll come back to that a little bit more, but I think with like the ayahuasca like trips and people who are commodifying off of that, I think that there's like a real darkness that whether it was from the start that becomes associated with it, like people who are like I mean, if you're making money, I don't know if you have heard about like whenever the lady who like first discovered or released, like I think it was like psilocybin or something from this tribe down in like South America. It was like their secret, and the woman who like introduced it to people outside of there, it like is the reason why we all know about it today. And she was completely ostracized and like removed from the tribe. Like it was like her biggest regret ever, because it was this secret that wasn't supposed to get out, and it became like a mechanism of releasing darker things into the world, and just the money game with it itself. I think is tied to real darkness. Whenever you're getting paid to go take people on a spiritual journey, like you're being led by money, and that is like against the whole purpose of it.
Hey guys, real